Jey Uso has WWE fans talking, and so will you. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what he did to get y'all talking and why I'm a little skeptical that he's going to get this dream to come true. Jey Uso is in a very interesting spot right now. So he is obviously coming off of a Raw on Netflix premiere match with Drew McIntyre, a booking decision that I will get to in a minute. I like it, but I don't like it, and I'll tell you why. More on that in a minute. He's also coming off of a very interesting last 4 to 5 months, right? From winning the Intercontinental Championship to losing the Intercontinental Championship to being aligned with Jimmy and Roman and Sami Zayn once again, reuniting the OG bloodline, going up against the new bloodline of Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and the Tongas. That feud kind of dissipating, and Jey going back to Monday Night Raw and finding his way once again, only to be aligned with Sami Zayn in his feud with Drew McIntyre. Now, look, they're clearly building up Drew McIntyre as a top tier heel, potential world champion type contender for a newly faced babyface in Gunther. But Jey's that guy that he's still feuding with Drew, right? Drew went over Sami Zayn at Saturday Night's Main Event. Obviously, they did the match with Jey and Drew on Raw on Netflix. We don't know what to get out of Jey Uso in 2025 because 2024 was his big breakout singles year. In my opinion, he stood on his own. He is nearly every month one of the top tier merchandise sellers for WWE. When he's mentioned on social media, engagement goes up. He also moves television ratings when he's on television. I mean, the guy gets one of the biggest ovations, the biggest crowd reactions of anyone on Monday Night Raw on a weekly basis. The fans are behind this guy. And I've talked about in the past how I don't know if Jey Uso will be a world champion in WWE. Well, he is looking to prove me wrong. And that leads us to today's video because Jey Uso took to his Instagram story recently, and he made it very clear that he would be coming for the World Heavyweight title in 2025. He wrote a very simple, plain, black and white, straight to the point message. It says, I'm going to be world champion 2025-ish with a crown. So Jey Uso, despite the fact that I don't necessarily think that WWE brass, I don't think that necessarily Triple H sees him as a world champion, sees him as a main event guy, despite the fact that they call him main event Jey Uso, just based off of their booking alone. I don't know if that's going to happen. I have my reservations. Now look, is it possible that he gets a reign, a run as world champion? Sure. But I also think you have to look at the if we're going to lay out the pros and cons here, and we're going to do that, I think you also have to look at the negatives. The negatives is this. Jey Uso was a tag team player for literally a decade, over a decade, okay? He then goes to Monday Night Raw in 2023, and he starts this singles run. And the fans, they've always been behind him, right? His popularity has never been higher than it is today. And he's maintained the popularity for this long, right? It's been over a year that he's been this hot. And he's had opportunities to shine, right? He had an opportunity to dethrone Gunther as the Intercontinental Champion with his insane record reign. That didn't happen. He got screwed over by Jimmy. He beat Jimmy at WrestleMania 40. He fell short to Damian Priest in a World Heavyweight title match at Backlash France. He fell short in Money in the Bank, right? He ultimately, finally, after failure after failure after failure in these big spots, he finally won the Intercontinental Championship. But he didn't have that long of a reign. Well, why? Because they wanted the title back on Braun Breaker. You roll your eyes and you move on with it, right? And then what happens? You put him right back with Jimmy. You put him right back with his brother. Because in my opinion, Jimmy can't hang on his own without his brother as a single star. He just can't. He's a tag team guy. He's a great tag team guy. He's a great in-ring performer. He's not a singles guy, at least on a top tier level, in my opinion. So now that we go into 2025, he's feuding with Drew. Let's be real, in the overall outcome of this feud, Drew's going to get the better of him. Jay's going to put him over. And we always have this consistent dynamic with Jey Uso. where he hits this glass ceiling. He's like a fly, if you will. He can't break through the glass ceiling to becoming a main eventer, despite the fact that WWE every single week will call him main event Jey Uso. He's just not been able to break through that upper card type talent, that role, that position on the card, and make it to a main event type guy, make it to a headlining type guy. He's just never been able to do that, regardless of his popularity, regardless of how over he is, regardless of his promos, regardless of his in-ring work. He's just never been able to break through. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see as a Jey Uso fan. Now, I've always had the opinion that he doesn't fit the mold of what WWE is looking for as a top-tier guy. He doesn't look like Cody Rhodes. He doesn't look like Gunther. He doesn't look like Damian Priest, right? Where they're going with their talents, it is a little bit of a shift of like larger-than-life type characters. Jey Uso is over, but I don't know if he necessarily fits their mold of what they want out of a top-tier star. And I think that's what's going to hold him back. So if we're talking about, can Jey Uso become a main event guy? Can he be a world champion in 2025 as WWE looks to grow on its huge popularity, as WWE looks to continue to grow the Monday Night Raw brand on Netflix? As we go into WrestleMania 41, as we go into a year where WWE is looking to book more international premium live events than ever, hosting premium live events across 2 nights, right? We got WrestleMania, we got SummerSlam. I think it is not going to be Jey Uso's year. I don't think he's going to be winning the World Championship, because if you look at the pecking order, it's like, okay, we're just talking about Monday Night Raw here. You still have Gunther, who's in a reign that's probably going to last until WrestleMania, right? You got a Drew McIntyre. He's right there in the hunt to potentially dethrone Gunther. He would have a long reign. You have CM Punk, who has made it very clear that he wants to be world champion again, and I believe will be a world champion in 2025. You got the potential of a John Cena run as a world champion with his retirement tour. And oh, by the way, you always have a Seth Rollins right there. And who's to say they don't push Braun Breaker even further to the top of the card and make him world champion? And oh, by the way, there's a Damian Priest. So there's what? 5 guys, 6 guys off the top of my head that are literally in front of Jey Uso as the world champion. You could also throw in a Sami Zayn, where maybe they give him, a Kofi Kingston type run, where, hey, thanks for being a hard worker. Thanks for all your continued support of this company and working hard for us. Here's a little prize for you. So there's a lot standing in the way of Jey Uso's dream, his hopes. I don't know if we're going to get to see that in 2025.